Hey guys, Julien here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about two yummy deck lists. So first we're going to talk about the board breaker list with Luna. Right, Luna? Okay, I'll let you go now. And then I'll be talking about the hand trap list later. So this is the list I have right now. This is a list I've been playing for a little bit now. And here's the most important points of it. So obviously we have 3 Cupsy. This is the best starter of the deck in terms of normal summons. And that's why we play 2 PRS map. So you might notice that I cut a Lolipo and a Cookie from the deck. And I pretty much replaced them with the PRS map. That way, instead of playing 3-3-3, I'm playing 5 Cupsy, essentially, 2 Lolipo, 2 Cookie. And you might think there are some games where, unfortunately, if you draw both of one name and Obedience School, then you can't activate Obedience School. But the probability of opening 2 of the same name is about 0.5%. So in order to have your deck more resilient, it's definitely worth taking that very, very small gamble. So next we have, 2 Surprise. This card's very important, especially in grind games. Even already opening 1, it's an extender. And opening 1 and then searching the second one with Cupsy allows on your opponent's turn to use both effects because the card's not once per turn. It's each effect once per turn. So you can activate an effect to special summon 1 back, and then you can still do the trick where you target your 2 guys to bounce, which I'll demonstrate in a little bit, and then chain to synchro. So you don't bounce your own guys, but you bounce their guys. Next, we have the engage package. I'm not playing Widow Anchor because I don't think that it's as strong as a breaker. And we already have so many breakers in the deck that I just want to focus on getting Hornet Drums, as well as, playing the Obedience School, the 2 Field Spell, pretty standard stuff, And then in terms of the non-engine lineup, so you will see that we have some hand traps and some board breakers. The reason why this approach isn't a full hand trap approach, decks this format have way too much engine, and therefore, hand trap pairs like 2 to 3 hand traps don't often stop your opponent from playing. So what I decided to do with this approach is play, the 6 hand traps that will put the most pressure on your opponents, which are the Moltres. And then Ash Blossom, just for going first, you want to negate Moltres. And then we have just these board breakers that if you are able to apply pressure with these, you should always win, just because every draw in your deck is really strong. As well as if you don't draw your Moltres, then you can still pair your board breakers to just fully out the board and win out the game. For the board breaker lineup, I chose board breakers that are strong going first. That way, if we draw them, we don't always, break on useless card like Moltres, with the only exception of Duster being a 1-of as a thrust target. The main reason for this is that K9 Vanquish Soul is a tough matchup when going second because their trap, there's no really way to force it out in this deck other than, for example, going like placing a Croaky, but then that means that you need access to minion also to be able to reduce their life points to 0. So I put in the 1 Duster with the thrust. That way, if we can afford to, thrust for Duster and out the trap, that we don't have to, let them wait to activate the trap until we're in like battle phase and then out our board. Next, we have Imperms and Droplets. Just, Imperm targeting the negation. It's decent, decent as a hand trap if you feel like you can actually stop their play with an Imperm, which sometimes you can. And then Droplet, which is non-targeting negation, which is really, really strong, especially in this format. If you can stop your opponents, if they have like 2 Snatchies on board, or a Snatchy and a Synchro, and you can stop both of those and just completely cut them off of their loop of plays, then that's really strong. And then we have the 1 Talents, which is just another thrust target. In the side deck, I have 3 Dark Rulers. I think this card is super strong. Obviously, the main downside of it is that it prevents you from going for game, but it can't be negated. It can't be responded to by monster effects. So it can't be Herald or anything like that. And then this engine, the disruptions are super strong. And so if you're able to just activate Dark Ruler, full combo, out their board fully, then you should definitely be in a winning position, and there's no need to, kill them on that turn. So next we have, Drool, just a good coverage card. If you're playing against K9 Vanquish, they do a lot of adding to hand. If you play against, Mitsurezio is still a deck, you droll them, they go Detonator Pass. This deck can definitely beat that, especially with the number of breakers that we're playing. Lancia, because, Mouse is still a deck. I'm not that upset about it. And you want to be able to stop them. And then for the going first cards, because you'll notice that we have the 6 Moltramis, I have one of each trap. Each of these traps should be able to hit each deck, like Sanctum obviously for Malice, D Barrier for Mitsurugi Raizio, as well as the Mirror Match, and Mutually Referred Destruction. If you guys don't know what this card does, this card pretty much says that both players must have their hand revealed throughout the turn. And if the card is already revealed, then you cannot reveal it again for something else. So Vanquish Soul monsters and K9 monsters all required to reveal themselves to activate the effect. So if you activate this card in the draw phase and your opponent has like Jokul, Holy Su, Raisin, all that stuff, they can't activate anything. They literally look at their hand and like, okay, I can normal summon Raisin, add a card, and that's all they can do. So this card is super strong. It's like an FTK against that deck. I would really recommend to play it if you like Thrust and if you want to play Thrust. And then lastly, I have Solemn Warning. This card is super strong because it can stop all the biggest pushes of different decks. It stops Obedience School. It stops like Snatchy Effective Synchro. Like if you let him get that far and then you just want to, Solemn Warning that, or just Solemn Warning the summon of it. Or if you want to Solemn Warning Jokul, because that's the main reason why it's not Judgment, is because Jokul plus a 5 absolutely destroys Judgment, and you don't want to play Judgment. Yeah, if they go Jokul plus a 5, whatever 5 of their engine they're playing, they'll just destroy through that. So you don't want to let them make that. Now, in terms of the extra deck, we have 3 Snatchy. It's pretty standard. You don't want to play less than 3. Your grind game relies on you having 3 Snatchies. And a lot of combos, the way that your board is the most resilient is by having 1 to 2 Snatchies on board, and then the other Snatchy or Snatchies in the graveyard. That way, if they out the one on the field, right? Like if they impermit in draw phase, then you have Surprise to reborn another one. Or you have a Synchro to tag out and bring out others. That's how you make your board resilient. Then we have 1 of each Synchro. You don't really need more. With the fact that the field spell can recycle them from Banished or Grave, there's not really anywhere that they can go that would be detrimental. Like unless they get Banished face down specifically. But cards that do that currently, like Evenly or Fenrir, are not that good. And if they have Evenly, we can always set up a Herald and just negate it. So we're not too worried about Evenly. Next, we have Metal Marcher. There's 3 bridges that people are testing out for this deck. It's Metal Marcher, the Star Ham, and the Samsara Cat. I think that Metal Marcher is the strongest because Star Ham takes a discard. Samsara Cat summons itself back, but we don't need to do that. We put up enough bodies that we actually don't care about summoning back the level 3 Synchro monster. We actually care about, keeping our yummy engine in rotation. So that's why I like this one the best. And for extra deck space, I'm only playing one of the bridges, obviously. And then I'm playing 2 Heralds because if you don't open Obedience School, you can always make 1 Herald on your turn using Metal Marcher, and then another Herald on their turn because, again, like I said before, you create so many bodies that you're able to do your whole yummy disruptions and then summon the Herald. Next, we play No Onari, which is this Link 2. I think this Link 2 is super important in this build of the deck because we play Droplets. So when you're breaking your opponent's board, right, you activate Droplets or you use Surprise. And then you're not able to kill them because their board was just that big, right? It happens. But then you make Onari, you reset your Droplets, your Surprise, and then now you have an extra push on your opponent's turn. Or, which is what's very important, these effects come up. If this card is destroyed, so you can even crash this to trigger this, and there's field spells in the zones. So if there's one, you can apply one of these effects, which is either pop a card non-targeting, which is really great removal, or inflict 1500 damage to your opponent. I've had games where, first of all, there's like 2 field spells, so I get to use both effects. And my opponent was down to like 1200 life points, and then I just crashed Onari because I didn't have enough damage on my board to deal that damage, but I could just crash Onari and kill them. Next, we have Link Spider. This is like kind of like how you play Link Spider in Malice to play around Nib. You play Link Spider in this deck to play around Nib. In this deck, it's because it's a Link 1, so it's a level 1 tuner for your yummy cards. We have Kogari, obviously, because we played the Sky Striker cards. This engages full combo because we have Warner Jones plus Kogari. And then SP, just a good removal card. And then the last 2 slots of the deck, Moon and Requiem. So the reason why we play these, and these are definitely not mandatory spots, it just depends on if you as a player want to respect contact seed. Because if we get contact seed, like, we lose. I'm not gonna lie, if we don't play these two cards. Because you get contact seed, you must use contact seed as part of your next material to summon something from the extra deck. And so one way to do it is if you have 2 engine cards, you use your name that you summoned and the contact seed. Make Moon, make Requiem. Now Requiem's in link 1, so we can special summon our other Cupsy names from the grave. Or from the hand, sorry. And we can even use, like, if we have Minion or Surprise, whatever, we can always extend. However, if we don't play these 2 cards and we get contact seed, we literally can't do anything. Like, we can't even SP banish itself because we wouldn't have a link monster on the field because they would always contact see you on your normal summon. So yeah, so that's the breaker list. Looking at siding patterns, we can see, like I mentioned, we have 6 cards that always want to come out going first, right? And we have, like 7 cards that want to come in. So the 3 Solemns, then 3 Drolls or 3 Lancia, like whatever matchup Droll is not great into, Lancia is pretty good into. If you're in the mirror, then Drolling them is actually pretty good when you go first because it turns off Thrust, it turns off, Engage, and turns off getting access to Surprise, depending on what they start. And the last card is a trap, so you can take out, the 6 Moltres and then a Droplet, the Duster. So that's 7 for 7. And then when going second, we can put in, the Dark Ruler over some engine side outs. The engine side outs for me that I like the most, I take out 1 Engage because I'm not playing Widow Anchor. So I don't need that many engages in my deck going second. 1 PRS map, depending on the matchup. If it's against Vanquish Soul, I probably take out both because they have a lot of FTK lines and I don't want to half my life points. I don't want to make it so easy for them to kill me. And then usually I'm taking out a Croaky. So that's 4 cards. And then obviously it always depends on the matchup, right? Because sometimes you want to take out different non-engine that aren't as good. But you kind of have to gauge what's not that good, and then you can put in, Dark Ruler if it's good. You can put in Droll if it's good. You can put in Lancia. It becomes a judgment call against what deck you're against. So that's it for the board breaker list. And now for the hand trap list with Lyla. You can go now. So this list, the engine ratios are the exact same. Like I said before, I really like these engine ratios. I don't really want to change anything about them. The main difference of the list is going to be the non-engine lineup. And you can see I kept in the 3 Fua, 3 Perulia because I do believe that, decks are so strong in this format that you want the hand traps that apply the most pressure. Yes, these lose to Ash Blossom. They do. But they only open Ash Blossom 33% of the time. So that's 67% of the time where you open these and they don't open Ash Blossom, you're going to put them in a tough spot. And then you're going to use your hand traps to reduce their board and then FTK them on your turn. Or OTK them on your turn, sorry. The other thing is too, they can open Ash. You can also easily open 2 of these when we play 6. So otherwise, we play Ash again. If we're playing hand traps, we might as well play Ash Blossom because going first, it stops the Moltres. We play Imperm just because it acts as a hand trap and a breaker. And then we play Nib, Valor, and the Bistros for this reason. So first, Nib, this format is a little weird. I do think it's pretty strong into Yummy when well paired. Paired with Valor, paired with Mag, Druis, Imperm, just to stop them from getting surprised and then nibbing them. It's really strong. And also, the same can be said against K9 because you do the same thing, right? You Imperm nib them where you stop the Ripper and then it can't negate nib. And actually, something really important to note that you want to do is you want to Imperm / Valor the Ripper and then on res nib in case they have the quick play spell in hand. Otherwise, if you do like Nib chain Imperm, they can chain the quick play spell and then dodge your Imperm, and now you're going to feel like an idiot because your Nib's not going to resolve. One big thing about this list that I'll mention real quick from the extra deck is that we're playing Azalea. The reason why we play Azalea is because if we do Nib or Bishop them, it turns off our Obedience School. So if we open a hand of one of these 5 cards plus Obedience School, we want to be able to remove the bodies from our board, right? And then continue from there. And, Azalea can just remove itself because if you have less than 3 or less spells in your graveyard, it'll pop itself. Send itself to the graveyard. But the other application of it is that we can also turn like our nib bestial bodies or our nib hand trap bodies, like if we nib the normal summon hand trap, make Azalea, and don't use the effect, or have 3 spells engraved somehow, that one's less likely. We can then just turn it into Gagari, which is a Link 1, which again, bang, Link 1, can special summon our names from our hand, all that good stuff. And then, onto the side deck. The side deck is mostly the same. We're still playing 3 Droll, 3 Lancia, because Mitsu, Raizel, and Malice are still decks, and they're still very strong. We played Bell in this one. Since we're playing hand traps, we want to be able to post-side customize our hand trap lineup so that it best fits the deck that we're playing against. And I think that Bell is really strong into both Yummy, and it's okay into Malice. Like it's probably the next best hand trap after Lancia, right? So against Malice, we can put in 5 hand traps against them when we already have 20 that are pretty good, And into the mirror match, when they tag out with their synchro monsters and you build them, that's very impactful because you're cutting them off of 2 bodies, especially if you, it's a good 6 card, which makes it really strong. For these, we talked about these for the last deck list, and pretty much because I'm not able to main Thrust because I want to play as many hand traps as possible in this list, I just put Thrust in the side with the Thrust targets. And this makes the siding pattern really easy. You have 6 cards that want to come out. You have 5 that want to come in automatically, right? These 4 in one of the traps. And then you can take out some level of Imperm or Veiler and fit in the other hand traps if they're strong into the matchup. The last big difference between the previous list and this list, obviously we have in Azalea, we had to take out a card, is I took out the Link 2. Because in this list, the only quick play spell that we actually care about is Surprise. And we already played 2, so we have a way to get it back on following turns. And so therefore, there's less value to gain from it when we actually, it does come up that we want to remove the bodies from our field and, turn it into either a Link 1 or completely remove it from our field to be able to activate Obedient School. So yeah, so that's it for the deck list that I want to show you guys today. If you guys have any questions, drop them down in the comments. If you guys prefer doing these kind of videos with the actual cards themselves, let me know and I can do that next time. And also, if you guys want to see more of this kind of videos or different kind of videos, please do let me know. And tune in to the next video because it'll be me playing this deck on ladder, and I'll be going over my choices during games and kind of the strategy behind it. Thank you. Bye-bye.